Hello and welcome, I'm Dustin PolyInnovator. Today I'm talking with Danny Hatcher on the Obsidian Omnibrain, as I called it. I'm trying to figure out the name for this new show, and I'm glad that you were someone that came on first on this new series that I'm doing. So thank you, Danny, for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I definitely think that there's a lot of people in this space now, and as you know, the Obsidian channel is kind of like a hit or miss. Some people aren't posting at all, some people are posting a lot, but they weren't posting before, so I kind of felt like there was this dip in the Obsidian market, and I thought, why don't I try to create this panel or group of a hive mind, if you will, of all these Obsidian people and see what we can do and come up with together.
Yeah, sounds good. I think AI certainly has a role to play in there. I mean, you look at the recent updates with Obsidian, the CLI, etc., and Claude and Obsidian, Claude and Markdown. It certainly has a role to play in where I think a lot of the Obsidian creators' focus is at the moment. So yeah, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that one as well.
I definitely think that that's a good topic to get into. When you mentioned it before the call, I actually added it to the questions here about AI. One thing I just want to start off with that I think I'm very adamant about, I'm curious what your thoughts are. I think a PKM tool like Obsidian needs to be viable for the human user. So or not even just the tool itself, but your information architecture, how you organize your vault, whatever. So I use my PIOS, people use DTD, whatever it may be. And so like the system needs to be good for the human usage, but it also needs to be good for the AI usage. And I think that the best system will be simultaneously good for both. What are your thoughts on that?
I've seen a lot of videos. So for context, I work in a company that uses AI a lot. Like, we are very AI driven. Claude is something I use daily. I am in Claude, I'm using Claude daily. So I'm familiar with it, but I don't let it touch my Obsidian vault at all. Like, full stop, doesn't. And I've seen lots of videos where people have put a folder at the top and it's like, this is my AI folder and AI does all the stuff here. I've seen some people just use an entire vault with Claude and then they have another vault. So they use like a vault inside of a vault. One vault is for Claude, the other vault is for their own stuff. I mean, I would argue it's the same thing as having a folder inside of a vault instead of a vault inside of a vault, but everyone to their own. But what interests me the most about the AI in the Obsidian is where people like Tom, I can't remember his last name, Paperless Movement is the old name of the channel, but he did a video saying you don't need Obsidian because Claude just uses Markdown. All you need is a Markdown file. I'm like, yes, that is all you need. And this is where I think there is a difference between an AI interface, which is just text, it throws walls of text at you or bullet points, and then a GUI, a graphical user interface, a calendar or something with buttons somewhere. There's an element of, I can see what's going on, it's grouped in certain ways, whatever design you want to look at, that's where computers went. They went from, here's walls of text and code to here's some buttons you can click and things you can drag around. And we've sort of moved back towards the here's walls of text, but instead of it being code, it's AI output, which, don't get me wrong, very useful. But I don't want to be reading tons of paragraphs or loads of bullet points. Just show me a couple of buttons, or I use a calendar a lot, I time block a lot. I don't want to read 9:05 to 9:15 this thing, 9:15 to 9:45 this thing. No, just show me my calendar. It's faster, it's quicker. So I think there's a bridge. Obsidian is still files first. Obviously it always will be. It's Markdown, but there are buttons in there. There are things that you can drag around. It's a bit more flexible than what Claude currently is. You look at tools like Lovable, they have a workspace or a thing on the side where you can do stuff in, similar with Codex. And Obsidian is the same. You can add a community plugin and you can see a project view, a board view, a calendar view. There's an element of human interaction with the software rather than AI doing all the work and then spewing words at you. I recognize I spoke a lot there, but that's my thinking around it, in that I like the idea of AI. It makes a lot of mistakes. You need to know what you're doing with it. But I still think there is a huge space for just a human interacting with software, with buttons, with symbols, with different things on the screen other than text.
I definitely think that's a whole tangent right there, like the interaction, almost a hit interface. I kept thinking about like this voice PE device I have here and using this connected to my vault and talking to it like verbally. There is the concept, though, you're talking about with Claude. Like, you don't have Claude in your system at all. I definitely full-heartedly agree with you. I love AI. I know a lot of people watching this might have mixed feelings. That's fine. But when it comes to AI and data privacy, Claude may be one of the better ones, but none of them are necessarily that particularly good with protecting your data. And obviously like Gemini and ChatGPT are even worse when it comes to that kind of stuff, even if they are good tools to use from time to time. And so one thing I've always been very adamant about is if I'm going to ever use AI in my vault, I want it to be a local AI using like open AI, not open AI, open code, whatever the hell it's called, or Llama and stuff like that. And I think that,
OpenClaw, is that what you're talking about?
not OpenClaw. There's like a alternative to Ollama that starts with open. I can't remember the name, or OpenCP or something like that, or
There's so many now.
CLP. Yeah. No, I'm frustrated. I can't remember it right now, but because I keep seeing it on the self-hosting stuff. But I think that like right now, everyone is in a place where your computers more than likely aren't going to be able to run local models. And even if you have a gaming computer, you're going to have to still use a quantized, like squished model that isn't going to be that good. And so I think that like once we get to the point where we have the computers that can handle it, that's when people will use local AI.
I agree to an extent. I think like working in AI, I know that it's really good at code. Like Claude Code, really good at code. And there are certainly lots of really useful use cases for AI. But I think from what I've seen in the conversations, this is something I was actually writing about earlier, is that I see lots of people talking about how to build their personal assistant, their PKM, their AI thinking tool, whatever it is, but they don't share like the what of what they're doing with it. Like you can use N8N or whatever to build your personal assistant. You do it like this: half-hour video, 25-minute video, whatever it is. You go, okay, what are you doing with it? And they say, it helps my emails. But what with your emails? Is it triaging them? Is it labeling them? Is it replying for you and you're not touching them? Like, what is it doing? How does it know your tone? How does it know what, like, if you need to reply to it or not reply to it? And all these sorts of questions. And so when people say, should I use AI? And like family members say, oh, should you use AI? And how do you use AI when you're with whatever it is, whether it's your Vault or your thinking? And I'm like, I don't, because it doesn't. It struggles. I asked it, I'm watching the World Cup. I don't know whether you're into football, but I'm watching the World Cup. And I asked Gemini, I was like, hey, what's the score in the football game? And it said, oh, it was a draw 1-1, but Germany won on penalties. And I was like, interesting. The penalties were still going on, so I didn't know how it knew that Germany had won. And it turns out Germany actually lost on penalties. Spoiler. So Paraguay won. And I'm like, because AI didn't have the right context, the match was still going on. It assumed it was in the past. And my guess, because Germany's good at penalties, it just assumed Germany won. Which maybe every human thought they were going to win, but they didn't. And so AI, without that context, missed it. And for those that aren't aware, AI doesn't go, I'm in your vault. I know everything that's going on. Context. It picks context. If it's not in the context, it'll miss it. So when I'm thinking about something, I don't want it to just accidentally miss a file that's actually significant.
Yeah.
So I have to tell it every time.
There is this mindset too. Both Gemini and Claude kind of called me out on it because I kept saying it in this manner where like, I wanted to train my own AI. That's not necessarily what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was have a really efficient RAG setup where it would just retrieve all the stuff from my vault. I have 1,000 articles myself, not to mention hundreds of videos, hundreds of podcasts, so that I have tons of content that you can read, like with all the transcripts for the interviews there. And then there's a few thousand articles I've saved, and then there's some books, and all the courses, all the GitHub links. So there's thousands and thousands of things that they could access. If I could just have a tool that could just keep track of all of that locally, then access it. I think that's a cool way of using AI to disseminate that information and retrieve it too. That's what I'm trying to say. So there's an interesting balance to it. Like you said, having access to the internet and access to information like that, but also maybe just keep it locked in place.
Yeah, it's the context that I feel is missed a lot. So when you're coding something, most people have probably seen the little context circle that appears in Claude Code. It's like, hey, context is up. We're going to dump all this into one file and we're going to start somewhere else. We'll start again. Okay, fine, Claude Code. We can carry on. We can do that because it can look back in the chat. But if I'm writing something, say, for research or academic purposes, if I'm looking at ecological psychology and I'm like, hey, look at these 7 books and I want you to distill this topic, self-organization. Okay, great. Now we're going to talk about that. Maybe a lot of that is built up, like 50% of its context, depending on the model I'm using. Well, now I only have a few questions before I've got to package it up and then go again. Or it's missed something, or it's deliberately left something out because it doesn't want to fill up too much of the context. I don't know what it's picked, what it hasn't picked. So I don't know if it's going to be right or wrong unless I, in my own way, have an understanding of what's going on. And so even though I'm asking AI to do stuff, I still need to know myself what's going on. And when people rely on AI to do the thinking for them, I don't like that term, they're going to miss things. They're going to lose things, which begs the question, if I'm writing and I'm thinking about stuff and then I ask AI to help me, what is AI actually going to do? And again, I come back to these videos where they say, oh, AI is going to help with A, B, C, D. But what does it do? Like, give me a use case, give me a practical example of what it does. I watched Tiago's video recently about his writing his book, and it was missing some of the context in his vault because it hadn't included it for whatever reason. And you're like, but Tiago knows that. So just write. Yeah, so I'm yet to find it a use case for AI in knowledge work, in writing knowledge work, that goes beyond organizing folders and files and surfacing things in search, which if you're semi-organized yourself, you can already do.
Well, I think that goes back to the point of like having the system be good for human and AI. But speaking of context, the first thing I had here to ask you, and I think it's important for people watching, is can you quickly explain who you are and what you do? I want to make sure we get to that before we get too deep into the weeds.
That's a great point. 12 minutes in. Danny Hatcher. So a bit of background, my education is in sports, so a bachelor degree in sports coaching, undergraduate degree, postgraduate degree in strength and conditioning. So my educational field is in sports, yes. Sports science. Yeah, I don't go to the gym. All the muscles are in my legs. Trampoline is my sport, so I got nothing up here.
That's fine. That's good.
But yeah, so that's my undergrad, postgrad. I was going to do a PhD. COVID hit, so I didn't, but I still actively research ecological psychology, the topic I mentioned earlier, which is an alternative approach to cognitive psychology in the way that it approaches various elements in psychology, philosophy, and lots of other fields. Then from a YouTuber perspective online, I've got a channel, Danny Talks Tech, which I haven't posted on for 5, maybe 6 months, because I started working part-time for a company called Morgan, and now recently full-time at Morgan, and yeah, as I mentioned earlier, doing a bit of vibe coding, or a lot of vibe coding with Claude, using AI, sort of the resident IT assistant to family and friends.
Are you using anti-gravity at all? No? No interest in it, or just because like you have something else that's better?
Just haven't. Like, I know of it, but
I was just gonna ask because I used it a little bit because I was able to get free access to Claude, at least for like a month, and that was something that was really cool. I basically just upgraded my Google One subscription temporarily for a month, and it gave me access to every model of Claude. I don't know about if it would do Fable now, but it's just one of those things where, yeah.
I'm unfortunate in that I work for a company that is very AI first, so Fable 5... it was great. The new Fable 5 has obviously been tweaked. So, yeah. So I'm fortunate in that I don't have to pay for my Claude subscription.
You mentioned maybe almost doing a PhD. You also have like multiple channels you're doing. And so you have obviously a lot of reasons to organize information, whether it's self-learning, whether it's exercise, whether it's for content creations. But why do you use Obsidian?
I should probably add in there actually. So I'm half deaf, half blind. I volunteer in the deaf community in sort of the UK area, British Sign Language, BSL. I also help out, I run a trampoline club voluntarily, so that's something else that I do on the side for a community. It's basically a community sports club to help various individuals, send individuals normally become active, and then I've got my full-time job at Morgan. So I started out with, if you look all the way back in my channel, I started out with Notion. Notion was the tool I used because, to be honest, I was at university, I needed somewhere to write, and I was like, oh, this is a cool tool, and I started writing in Notion, or typing in Notion. This was before databases, by the way. Like, I'm like pre-databases in Notion. Everyone's like, oh yeah, now you can do AI and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I was there before databases. I feel like an old man, but yeah, so I started in Notion, and I liked the flexibility of Notion, and to be honest, it was better than Word. Typing in Word just sucks. So I was like, Notion, moving blocks, far easier. And I was really interested in building the database structures, the relationships, the formulas. I had Excel background, so I could work with some formulas. But the problem I had with Notion first was speed. It was really slow. Offline, just didn't work. The writing experience when I was doing longer docs became a little bit frustrating, and split screen. Not having split screen when I'm using 2 or 3 resources plus writing became a massive friction point. The amount of times I'm scrolling up and down the docs, or I'm opening 4 windows on 3 screens because I need all the different points plus my whatever it is that I'm researching at the time, the research paper up on the browser screen. And I thought, you know what, I need a better solution to this. So I went to Obsidian, 1 for the speed, 2 for the offline function, because I used to write a lot outside of internet access, and for the split screens. Like, community plugins, I was not interested, didn't understand code whatsoever. YAML front matter was just alien to me. I was like, nope, don't know what that is. And
that was such a hard pickup.
Yeah, and I started when there was no like live preview or reading mode. It was all source. So I'm like, Markdown, that's a new language, like literally new language. But it was the split screen reduced the pain, the speed drastically reduced the pain of using Notion, and so I went with Obsidian, and I dipped back into Notion every time I went back. I'm like, this is so slow. Why do I have to do it like this? Why can't I just split screen? I go back in now for work, and I'm like, this is so painful. Why are we here?
I align with you a lot. And for context, too, for anyone listening in, I did have you on my content creator channel. We talked about Obsidian there and your content creation journey. And as you were talking, it reminded me more of that conversation there, and I align with you. I wasn't as early as you with Notion, but I was still like 2018, I think, or something like that. And I remember hating the databases at first because it was in the middle. I didn't know how to do full width. I didn't know how to do the full screen experience of it inline versus, yeah. And it was just one of those things where the lagginess has never gotten better. If anything, it's gotten worse in a lot of ways. And as you're just saying, so every time I had to go back to Notion for whatever reason, I'm like, I don't like this. And now with Obsidian bases, there's only basically like one database that I have to keep in Notion for now. And so like I definitely understand the fact that like going back to it's pretty painful. And Obsidian's learning curve is definitely something that we could touch on because like you said, the different language. And you also mentioned Tiago, and recently he had that mild crash out, I guess you could say, on Twitter about Obsidian. And I think that part of it's just because of the way his mind works. I feel like maybe it kind of reminded me of the iOS user trying to use Android, for example, or like an Apple ecosystem person trying to move over to Windows or something like that, and them crashing out over the interface. Is that you?
I'm going the other way. I'm Windows onto Mac.
Really? If for work?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Not by choice. Trust me. Not by choice.
I had a feeling, so I feel like you and I are quite alike. I'm trying to get a tangent. I've been doing a lot of bartering trades on Facebook Marketplace, and I've been able to do pretty well. But like I got the Legion Go right here for trading my Xbox, for example. But I'm trying to get my hands on a Lenovo ThinkPad, and I'm gonna put Linux on it. I'm gonna go full throttle into Linux again because I did that for a while, and now I think that with Windows being the way it is, yeah, I'm going the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Before we head back to Tiago and the Obsidian learning curve. So most app developers, for whatever reason, look at Apple, look at Mac, and Mac is obviously the big tech company. Like iPhone is massive in America, obviously we've got a massive monopoly over there, and Mac is the big thing. And don't get me wrong, there are lots of positives about Mac, but I've been using Mac now for 7 months. Command, Option, Function, and Shift. Why I need 4 buttons to do what Control and Shift can do drives me nuts. Like, why can't I just Control Backspace or Control Shift Backspace? Why do I have to Function Option Backspace or Function Option Command Backspace or Command Shift? And like remembering which one does what, it drives me nuts. But there are some nice things, but yeah. And then whenever I jump into a call, I'm like, I need to give permission. Then it throws me out and jumps me back in. I remember taking the mic when I was on Windows, and it just like, yep, give permission. Cool. Mac, nope, I'm going to throw you out, throw you back in.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, and at one point I was thinking like Zorin OS would be really great. Like I was trying to think like what if Obsidian was its own operating system and you could just run it by itself because it has the web viewer built into it. There's the RSS dashboard plugin, so I kind of basically solves any RSS feed needs. And then the databases and stuff like that, pretty much every use case you could think of, task management too, which I know we went into before, and obviously calendar plugins, which besides integrations with like things like Morgan, the calendar plugins just don't work in Obsidian. There's one plugin that I use, which is the calendar for bases, and that's what I work off of. And I tried all the other ones that have come out since then, and none of them really work on it. So I have a question here.
I've seen it. I've seen like calendar on their roadmap.
I talked to Cabano about it on Twitter, and like he wouldn't give me any like notification of when it's going to come out. I'm like, okay.
Being behind the scenes of a dev team, as soon as you add a date, like the internal turmoil, you're like, oh yeah, I'll be done by then. Some random bug that you never thought would come up appears, and you're like, okay, this has just derailed us for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could like get a bigger view because like right now, what I do is if I miss a day, I'll just drag and drop. Well, last month I was really bad about doing content creation. But I want to get to the questions here, but I was really bad about content creation, so I just kept dragging and dropping. Now I literally have like 30 days worth of content in like 1 or 2 days because I just messed up so much, and now I need to disseminate it out to different days. But I only have a 30-day view. For something like this, I need like a 3-month view so I can properly equally send it out. So, and this plugin's not getting updated at all, which is frustrating. Speaking of plugins, though,
a bit later if you want.
Well, I was about to say, what are some of your favorite features or plugins that stand out? This might be a good chance to mention it.
I'll talk about the Obsidian learning curve,
Yes, please.
just so we don't lose
Lose that
Lose
trail.
trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Obsidian learning curve, as I've said, like even with Notion, make it as simple or as complex as you want. And as I mentioned, the main features that I moved to Obsidian for, the speed, the offline work, and the ability to go split screen, those three are why I moved to Obsidian. And you can look at the videos online. I've done loads of plugin exploration. I don't remember if I posted the video. I've made lots of videos and not posted them. But I had every single community plugin installed on one Vault. I think it was 1,000 and just over 1,000 at one point. Some of them conflicted, so it made some issues. But I used all of them to see what they could all do and how they all worked. So I'm very familiar with what was community plugins. There's probably another like 700 by now, but can't keep track.
It's actually at about 4,000 now.
Okay, yeah.
With like beta included. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not touching those. But when I look at my Obsidian Vault now, I don't actually. While I'm here, before I lie, I'm going to quickly double check my Obsidian Vault. No, I don't have any community plugins installed.
Interesting.
Nope, it's all turned off. So I have nothing outside of the core Obsidian. So the main reasons I came from Notion to Obsidian still stand. It's fast. It works offline. I had an X-ray earlier because I hurt my wrist. Trampoline. The girl didn't flip, so I had to do the work, and holding 70 kilos on a wrist backwards is not fun. But yeah, so I had an X-ray, and I'm sitting in there in the Mac, and I was like, you know what, I'll just type and work on Obsidian. Fine. And while I was typing on Obsidian, I had a split screen open, and I had tabs on both, and I was flicking back and forth. Like, that's all I need. And so, learning curve, what do you actually need solved? Like Brandon Sanderson, the author, he writes in Word. He uses the outline and writes in Word because that's all he needs. He just goes from top to bottom. But I write from top to bottom, but I need another reference. Yes, that could be on a second screen. I'm only on one screen, so I use two, and I also prefer it being close so I can drag things around. Because sometimes when I'm looking at something, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write on the left, and I'm going to have the reference on the right now. I want that flexibility. Obsidian gives me that. So when it comes to the learning curve of Obsidian, I would just treat it like a Word document, just loads of Word documents in the sidebar that you can write in, because the search is so good. Like I wouldn't say my labeling of files is great. I use the random note core thing, so every note is slightly different. I will get to how this has changed recently and later on, but every note starts with the year, the month, the date, and then maybe some words on the top. The words on the top help me find things like email video is like a note I worked on yesterday. Actually, yesterday. Just date, month, day. I think it's got the time as well. I might need to check. And then just email video. That's it. And because I don't tend to go back to many of those notes, they're fairly fleeting. As long as I can find them in the next week or so that I'm active in them, doesn't matter. And then if I do need to find something, all I need to do is remember any word or phrase that's in that note, or roughly the time, because I can sort the files by time. So I haven't found a need for any of community plugins, which is interesting because I imagine most Obsidian creators
like 12.
would be like, I got like 20 or 25. And
so I would say that like what it sounds like, you're kind of more, I don't want to say flow because flow is not the right word, but you're more like in the flow of the time of like, you're definitely time based in your vault. And I align with that, but in a different way. My PIOS system is time-based, like yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, with an archive at the end, kind of like Para. And because of that, it does have that kind of that time format, but I use the journals plugin to create different notes for different levels. So like I do the yearly note, the quarterly notes, and monthly notes. And so it's interesting to me that you're just doing essentially daily notes, but with the ability to go, like not intentionally, but that's kind of what those are. Like you're just doing like, are you doing multiple per day?
Yeah. I mean, I've got like 35 notes a day, something like that sometimes. I'll have like no notes in a day, or like 35 notes in a day, and it's all just in one folder.
So not really daily notes. Is it more Zelda-casting then?
Yeah, I guess, loosely. I mean, to be honest, my Obsidian Vault is just a better way to search files. Like, I have invoices in there, I have Excel spreadsheets in there, I've got Word documents, PDFs in there, and my Obsidian notes are all in one folder called Research. Then I have another folder called Other, which has, other documents, like agreements for the flat and invoices for who knows what random things. I've got some academic articles that people have asked me to review in there as well. And then I've got loads of other random stuff that I don't actually go into in Obsidian. It's just in the folder that's the Obsidian vault to organize my system. The actual Obsidian notes themselves are just a big folder. I mean, if I click on there, how many have I got in here? I have 17,763 files. I mean,
even with my pictures, I have 14,000, but half of those are my notes. So the fact that you have 17,000 notes is crazy.
Some of the names of these, I won't read out the entire thing, but it's like 2025, 12, 21, 1, 5, and then probability rate, probably use the timestamp. No idea what that means. No idea what that note even is. Okay, it's got a couple of paragraphs in. Yeah, no, I know what that is. But they're like 2025, 12, 21, 08, 52. Quick add. No idea. Like, I have no idea what any of those notes mean, but it's there as a record. I mean, that must be like...
But do you think that like this has been effective for you?
Numbers.
But like, because you have so many, do you think it's starting to clutter up your space? This is just like me kind of talking to you because I'm curious. Like, it seems like there's two extremes. It's either super helpful or it almost seems like super weighing you down at the same time.
So I see the notes as, I mean, this has, like I say, slightly shifted with the tools I'm using now, or the tool I'm using now. But the way I see notes, most of the notes that I make/made are, I need this right now, or I need to put this thing somewhere right now, so I'm going to make a note on it. So like, if I'm in a phone call, for example, and they're like, oh yeah, can you just like email me this thing, or can you write down this phone number, or remember this address, command then makes the random note with the timestamp, whatever. I write down the address, I write down the phone number, or whatever it is, write down the name, maybe a couple of like bullet point notes from the call. That's it. Note done, note saved. I then go away. When I need it, it's there. I will probably need it in the next couple of days. Once that's done, I don't touch it. But because I will remember the person's name, or maybe the day or the time that I had the call, I could be like, oh yeah, like a couple of weeks ago.
It was Dustin or something like that.
Exactly. So like, I just search for Dustin, or search for like the date, and then I just go through however many files. Maybe like I can't even remember the last time I manually had to go through things. I've just found words. But it's because I had just enough information to know what's going on, and I know how I search for things. It doesn't matter what the title of the note is, because I know how I search for things. Probably comes from experience. If I title something that's really verbose and explanatory, maybe a bit grandiose, I'm like, oh, this is blah blah blah, this is the best para system to do with Notion. I won't remember that. I'll remember Tiago said a thing, or Tiago made a video on that thing, so I will just write Tiago's video on Notion para, and I know that's what I'll search for.
Did you make a note for like having this meeting, for example? Probably.
If I wasn't using Kai, yes. Yeah, if I wasn't using Kai, yes. Previously,
is that the tool you moved to?
Not necessarily moved to. So yeah, exactly. So Morgan, this is what I was mentioning beforehand. So Morgan is calendars and tasks. It brings all your calendars together, brings your tasks together, and you can schedule them on the calendar. And with this rise of AI, you may have seen Reclaim have now got Reclaim 2.0, and they've basically put a chatbot on the side of Reclaim and have changed the way that they do things with agents. Motion also has a chat with AI, and loads of other tools have put a chatbot next to AI. We tried that inside of Morgan, and I mean, it worked. It looked the same as everything else, but it didn't feel like an interaction with a system or an app. It felt like, hey, here's Morgan and here's a chatbot to the side of it. It's an app with a chatbot. And that's how a lot of apps feel when I look at Copilot, or when I look at, ChatGPT is different. ChatGPT is just a chatbot. And so what we did, it was like, okay, let's try and create a tool that is actually an app that's a chatbot that can do these other things. Very similar to Lovable. And that's what Kai is, or that's what we're trying to make Kai. And so Kai is Morgan, but with emails, which Morgan doesn't have, with meetings, which Morgan doesn't have, and with the ability of a chatbot, which is Kai, with AI. And so what Kai allows me to do is all of the things that a calendar app does, notes app does, well, not a notes app, sorry, a task app does, a meetings app, an email app, plus a chat app, all in one place. And it's on the phone. Like, one of the examples that I'm sharing in a video that will be going on the Kai channel soon is, like, I'm looking at blinds at the moment for the flat that I moved into. And I had emails from quotes. And the guy that was around here gave me a quote, and I was like, that feels too high, but I can't remember how much the other quotes were. Now, previously, I would have put that inside of an Obsidian note. I'd have gone, quote 1, whatever the business name is, and then put the numbers in from the email. And then I would have done second one from the email because I would have made a note on it so I could find it, because searching emails is, don't get me started, it's a pain, so annoying. And so previously I would have had Obsidian notes on that. But because it was in Kai, because Kai can search my emails, I just literally spoke to Kai. I said, I didn't say Kai, but I pushed the record button, search my emails, and find the past prices of the quotes, or something like that. I sent the message. About 10 seconds later, it comes back. It tells me the company names. It tells me when the emails were sent. It tells me what the invoice was in a message. I'm like, great, thanks. So I didn't have to go searching for anything.
Yeah.
And it told me all of those things in one. So that's what Kai is doing for me now. And so in this meeting, the email that you sent obviously going to my calendar. So now I just need to, if I wanted to, I could ask Kai, hey, when did I meet Dustin last? And he'll go all the way back, find when we met because it was in the calendar. And I can say, okay, what did we talk about? Well, this time I can say what I'm talking about, but future can't.
Meanwhile, if I wanted to look up the Creator Spotlight show, I would go into my folder, networking base, Creator Spotlight, and then number probably 28 or whatever it was, 18, and because I'll see your name there. Or even if I just look up your name. It's funny that you said that the search built into Obsidian is really good, because I felt like I can never use it. But maybe it's because all of my notes are just insanely, there's so many different details. I could look up Danny, but it's gonna look up Danny Phantom or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think when I say search is good, I think I'm thinking of the feature, as in it's fast.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives you the results that you searched for, but how people search for things and how people organize their folders changes how effective that search result can be. I've seen some people, they have systems in Obsidian where they add certain prefixes or suffixes to the titles so it makes search easier, like anything to do with tax. I'm going to put bracket, like capital letters tax, and then close bracket, and then you type tax in and it gives you all the tax invoices. Fine. For me, most of the time when I'm searching for a file, it's a big file. It's not a small note. So if I'm looking for a topic like ecological psychology or self-organization, because I mentioned them before, or if I'm looking for a course like Ed Lawrence, because I know, I don't know what the course is actually called. I still don't know what the course is called, but I know I have the course, and I know the guy's name because it's the name of his YouTube channel. So the file is called Ed Lawrence course. Has it got anything to do with the course? A little bit. Most of the notes are my notes, but I know that's what I'm going to search for. Like I mentioned about Tiago stuff earlier, Tiago tweeted something about the extended brain book thing going back maybe 2021. This is before LA. And I remember searching ages for it. And I realized when I got there, that title makes absolutely no sense for future me. Made sense for current me, not future me. And when, this is going back 4 years now. When I realized that, I was like, okay, what I need to do is not title the note for current me. I need to title the note for future me. So when future me searches for this thing, they actually know the thing. Because I'm not going to remember the hot topic that's going on at that moment. Like you mentioned Tiago had a rant about, what was it, Obsidian. The Tiago rant about Obsidian might be what I title it, but how I'm thinking about it might be something a little bit more abstract because of the way I'm remembering things. It could just be Tiago's tweet when I came inside. Because it might have been something related to something I did outside. So I know I've got somewhere. It's a note to do with a conversation I had with Amelia, a friend of mine. And I just slammed my finger in a door. And I said, Amelia conversation, slam finger in door. That's the name of the file.
It makes me think more about almost like a memory palace type of thing. Because I think earlier you and I were talking, and I was I felt okay, we have definitely a line trajectory of the way we were doing things. And, we're splitting off the Mac and Linux thing. But the situation of Notion to Obsidian with AI, you and I, and fitness in the background, you and I are very aligned on that. But as you're talking about the way you use your vault, it made me also think the way we think is very differently. And I think that's actually a very good point to make, and makes me really glad I'm doing this show, because it's exactly why I wanted to do this kind of show. And yeah, what are your thoughts on that kind of memory palace-esque example?
It's valid, it works. I think the way that we remember things comes from the experiences we've had, and if you remember the experience, you're, I think, better off describing the experience in the words that feels meaningful to you, rather than adding a label that might be somewhat abstract which you're more likely to forget, which is why I describe my notes as they are when I'm searching for a file. If I'm searching for something inside the file, again, I'm describing the experience as it means something to me at the time, which would have a similar meaning in the future, rather than me trying to bring some abstract label or titling to the thing, which is why some of my notes have like really long names, because I've quite literally just described the feeling that I'm having. I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, there was a situation on Obsidian about, I think it was the DB folder plugin, and I said something like, this database folder plugin is really good, but I don't like, and then I listed like 3 or 4 things that I don't like about it. And when I went back a couple of months later, I found it because of the thing that I didn't like about it first time. And then I found it like the next time because I was like, oh, what was that plugin that I really like to do with databases? And because it was all in the title, I could find it. Mm-hmm. But if I'd put like DB folder plugin, no chance. It would have made sense in the time because that's how you'd categorize it. But future me would not have searched for DB folder plugin because I couldn't remember the name of the plugin. Similar with the email search, because I couldn't remember when the emails were sent, the name of the companies that did the blinds, couldn't remember it. I just said, hey, Kai, find this thing for me because I don't know. And it searched the email context.
Well, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier when it came to having AI with your vault. The way you're explaining Kai is kind of what I was thinking about with that. How do you think Obsidian could be better, Danny? What are some thoughts there?
I mean, to me, I don't like... When I think of improving an app, I think of it solving a problem. I don't have a problem with Obsidian, so for me, I don't think it can get any better, which is one of the reasons I haven't made videos. I'm like, I'm not going to go and explore loads of plugins just for the sake of exploring plugins. I'm not going to make videos on the same thing for the sake of making a video. I want to make a video because it's interesting to me. And, I mean, it's been more than 5 months. But I haven't changed the way I've used Obsidian because I don't have any problems with it.
I don't feel like... I mean, maybe I need to rewatch some of your videos, but I feel like you haven't explained this mindset that you're describing on this episode today as much with some videos on there, or at least not as of late. So maybe you could make another video just updating people like, hey, I mean, you could make a video talk about how you use it with Kai and stuff like that too, but on your channel, I mean, but even just like your mindset on it, like, hey, this is how I think in a Mind Palace-esque way with my Obsidian Vault, or however you want to title it. But this seems like a cool idea to kind of just give it another fresh start.
Yeah, again, it comes back to, I mean, this is a sort of a YouTube meta conversation here.
Yeah.
But there's... When I'm thinking about the videos, or when I was thinking about the videos I was going to make, there were lots of things that went into, do I want to say this or do I want to say that? How do I want to frame this? Is this solving a problem? Is it solving my problem? Am I helping someone else, or am I sharing my experience? And a lot of the thinking that goes behind some of the videos, towards the end of some of the videos, I say these things. But because it's towards the end of the videos, or is it the end of a video that it doesn't really make sense, or it's kind of a side comment because it doesn't quite match with the problem I'm solving or the thing that I'm sharing, it's a side comment that I know the context behind, but if you don't, it could just be another sentence as you move on to the next tip or whatever thing that I'm doing in the video. And so for me, I feel like it's been in a lot of the videos, well, probably the last year and a half's videos in Obsidian, because my use of Obsidian hasn't changed. The videos, like towards the, not necessarily end, because I haven't ended the channel, I'm still going to go back to it, it's just when I feel like there is a valid reason to go back to creating a video about Obsidian, because, like I say, my use case hasn't changed, my users hasn't changed. But yeah, so the videos in the past, they're not like ending videos, but they were, I felt like I should make them, not like I felt like I wanted to make them. And so I was like, I feel like I should put this out because people might want to hear my opinion. And they did.
Yeah.
Like, some people asked, oh,
that's why I found you. I literally I liked your opinion. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah, so no one in the last like 3 or 4 months has reached out and been like, oh, where have you gone? What's happened to you? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, am I bothered by that? No, not at all.
Well, I'm doing it now.
And I don't want people to be like, hey, make loads of videos, because I have 0 time. I could make videos, don't get me wrong, and they don't take that long. But as a YouTube creator, I ask myself, why am I doing this? Who am I helping? If I'm helping someone, and if I'm not doing it to help someone, then it's for me. And if it's for me, why am I sharing a video if I'm doing the thing myself?
But because people might benefit from seeing your line of thinking.
Yeah, maybe. But it's a maybe on maybe an hour of my time to maybe help a person that might be thinking through something. Is there something better I could do with my time? I would argue yes, which is why I don't make the videos at the moment. I do plan on making a video about Claude, AI, Obsidian, and probably Kai to some extent, because obviously it's what I'm using day to day to do task management, calendar management, meetings, emails, etc.
The channel is called Danny Talks Tech, so like obviously there's plenty of room for going beyond just Obsidian.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I changed the name is because I made another channel that was talking about sport, and I was like, damn it, I need to make these separate.
Well, and that's why I made the creator channel. I think that the niche mindset with YouTubers is something I always struggle with the whole polymathy thing on this channel, because it's just like knowledge management for polymaths on this channel. But the idea of how those two fit together is why I kept them both on here. Otherwise, I could make a whole separate channel for the knowledge management stuff. And I bring this up because sometimes some creators make a separate channel when they want to, like, let's say, video game creator plays Warzone or Battlegrounds, whatever, PUBG, and then they get bored of that, then they pivot to like Apex or maybe even some other game altogether, and they think, because I was playing shooter games, I need to make a new channel for role-playing games. When in actuality, people care for you about the way that you're playing the games, your vibe when you're playing the game. And I think a lot of creators who aren't in the gaming space don't necessarily think about that changing niche. So like maybe right now, I'd be kind of curious like how you are adjusting as a Windows and techie user going to Macs, right? I'm not going to go to Mac, but I probably would still watch that video because I'll be like, hey, like how is he adjusting with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Marques Brownlee is an example that I think of a lot when it comes to different channels, because he runs multiple channels. Well, not he, obviously his team.
Yes,
But yeah, his face, and he's involved in, 5 channels? He's got the main channel, then he's got the studio channel, he's got the autofocus channel, he's got the waveform podcast, he's got the clips channel. So he's spread across lots of different places, but it's all related. He's an ultimate frisbee professional, but there isn't a channel about him playing ultimate frisbee. So there are... Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's done interviews and there are videos of him talking about it, etc. But he hasn't made a channel about that. And I think it's because there isn't one of those two reasons. There isn't a user or a viewer or a type of person that would be interested enough for him to warrant that. Like, there's not a million people where they're like, they want to listen to Marques talk about how to throw a frisbee. There's not the audience out there that I'm aware of. And on the other side of that, I don't think Marques prioritizes frisbee over all the other things. It's just, I play frisbee, I do the frisbee thing, I do lots of training, and I bring some of the elements into the videos. Like, hey, I've just done 4 fitness watches during my workouts because I play frisbee, kind of thing. And that's kind of how I see the Obsidian channel, in that I use Obsidian, but I don't use it in a different way. So there's nothing new to really be added there. I could share my opinions on Claude and the CLI and AI and the rest of it, which I do plan on doing, but I feel like I need a more educated opinion about it before I make a video, because I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, this is great, or oh no, this is bad, until I've actually tried it and used it.
We'll say I do think you use Obsidian in a unique way, but there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about, like, before we wrap up here. And one of my questions I prepared for this, and I'm not sure how I feel about it because I want to respect the guest's privacy. I have it on here, and I want your thoughts as like the first guest on the show. Can you share with us what your vault looks like? But in that case, a lot of people don't want to share their private information. So maybe what I could do is instead is ask for screenshots and then use that as part of the thumbnail with the person there. So I'm not sure what would be like, if that's better for the privacy of the guest, but then people who are watching this won't be able to see.
For in the vault?
Well, I figured like just the way, I mean, if you have a different theme, you have a different way of doing things with the whole folder structure. You mentioned how there's different dates. Like, that would look completely different to my vault because you have the 2 folders, 3 folders, but then when you open that one, it's all just like dates. That might be interesting. So that might be why, you don't have much to show us in the way of visuals. Like, you don't have a whole bunch of plugins, the way you use things, obviously. So a video screen share right now may not matter as much when it comes to you, but the next guest might have a lot to show. So I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are in the meta sense of this show.
Yes, I'm just going through my vault to try and get something up that is...
There's no pressure. I'm not
useful to look at. I mean, what I can do is, if I move that over there, and then I just bring that note up. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, I mean, it doesn't look any different from just a regular Obsidian vault. Actually, Mac might kick me out because I haven't given permissions.
That's okay. Well, you don't have to do it then. I just thought that maybe, like... And also, when it comes to screen share, it does add a little bit of complexity to the editing because of the way it formats it in Riverside. But I'm just curious to see, like, what your thoughts are in the meta sense of how would that be useful to the audience, or should we just do a screenshot and use your face in front of that as the thumbnail? And that way every guest has a different screenshot. And so that way each thumbnail looks unique. I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, I think for the Obsidian users that are watching, they will probably want to see the vault to see what it looks like. One, because everyone's always interested in the theme. Yeah. What theme are you using? I'm not using a theme. I have some custom CSS to make the block highlighted so I can see where the cursor is, and I have orange instead of purple.
That's fair.
But apart from that, it's just default Obsidian.
I was using a Fallout theme recently. It was pretty cool.
Okay.
Like a CRT.
Obviously, I mentioned I don't have community plugins. In the left ribbon, I haven't touched anything, so all the core plugins are still there. I never use any of them. I have the bookmarks plugin up on the left, but that's normally collapsed anyway. Search is also there, but I use the shortcut. I have the files, but I never touch it. Apparently, I've got files outside of... What's that? Oh, I've got a Dartford Charge PNG image. There you go. That's where I got charged for going over a bridge, and that's just in my Obsidian Vault. Okay, so most of my views is just in the split view, which are the two files that I would be working on at the time, and then maybe some tabs. And then on the right side, I have the outline.
That's really useful, because I think that, like, again, your setup might be a little bit more simplistic visually, but obviously, conceptually, there's a lot more to it. And I think that, like, just talking about it, and I'm just wondering, like, again, out loud, what would be useful. And I think what you just did there was helpful, because the people who are curious would be able to benefit from hearing that.
Yeah, like I say, it's pretty much sandbox Obsidian, just tons of random notes in the files, and then the outline plugin on the right side, because I use headings a lot, like when I'm scripting videos, which is, I mean, now that I'm using Kai, the only real use I have inside of Obsidian is scripting videos. And to be honest, the only reason I'm scripting videos in Obsidian is because I'm using a teleprompter for these videos, because it's just easier to word by word bullet point these videos than do it off the cuff. It's just faster for recording and editing purposes. And the teleprompter that I use, obviously you need to have something that's scrolling, and so it's easier to have the file on Obsidian on my phone, copy and paste it into Parrot. Parrot then turns it into a teleprompter on my phone, which can go through. Otherwise I'd use it in Kai, but when I copy and paste from Kai, it has other formatting things when I put it into Parrot.
That's fair.
But considering we're developing Kai and like every day is a new development of the app, I'm not even exaggerating, like tomorrow morning there will be another push, the next morning will be another push. Who knows, maybe that comes in the next 2 weeks and then I stop using Obsidian entirely. Don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, most of my use for Obsidian was project management, task management, calendars, and then research and notes. Calendar, I now have I used Morgan, but now I'm using Kai. Still, I have a calendar app. Tasks, all inside of Kai. Emails and meetings I never did in Obsidian anyway, I just took notes from them. But the smaller notes that I was taking in Obsidian, that are in those like dated files, are now pretty much in Kai, because most of them are things I needed to do. So like the phone call example I gave you earlier, instead of typing out those notes in Kai, if it's from a meeting, I'll have the transcript and then it's already inside of Kai, so Kai already knows and suggests the task, and all I say is, yes, do that tomorrow, and then it schedules it tomorrow. But if it's not, I push the microphone button, I say what I need to say, and then I say, well, if I don't say anything, it schedules it automatically for today, because that's what I've asked Kai to do, because I've made those settings. I've asked it to do that, so it will do that. It follows. But if not, I just like, do this tomorrow or schedule this at some point next week, and it will find a free spot and put it there. And so the note isn't just a note that gets lost in Obsidian, it's actually scheduled so I can do the thing. And then... Yeah. The larger research stuff, again, something that I struggled with in Obsidian right early on was working out, what research am I working on? Am I meant to be looking at this note, that note, which is the big file? So I needed a way to make it into a task or a project, one of the reasons I had YouTube videos, and then put it in my calendar, which is what Morgan was for. Now I don't need that because it's all in Kai. All I need is basically a text space to type, which again I will probably still use Obsidian for, thinking about it, because split screen. Kai will not have a split screen because it's not a writing app, so I'll probably still use Obsidian for the long.
Well, I think it's good for people to think about trajectory and using tools in conjunction with Obsidian, like you mentioned with Claude earlier. Where can people find you online if they want to learn more about you, Danny?
Type my name in pretty much anywhere. I have used my handle, like my name as my handle on everything, I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, I think that's all of them. I think I'm on Reddit as well. I don't know, I don't touch that thing, but I'm there. Yeah, just Google me and you should find me. Otherwise, go to Morgan or Kai, and then I'm the one in the help box.
Well, and it's more of an audio confirmation anyways. You can look down below if people can find it. But thank you for coming on the show for the first time. Like, this is a new show.
Thank you for having me. It's a good time. Good chat.
It was always.